Thanks to a local doctor's help, there's a life-saving drug on all Jefferson Parish School campuses.
And as Sabrina Wilson reports, access to epinephrine is critical when someone is having a severe allergic reaction, and JP schools now stock the drugs.
Kids play on a school campus in Jefferson Parish, but sometimes there are sudden emergencies that have nothing to do with playground injuries.
Anaphylaxis is a severe allergic reaction.
Some students know they have serious allergies and come equipped with EpiPens. Others don't, and the onset of anaphylaxis can be life-threatening.
It can also cause that swelling that we see in the face.
And other dangerous symptoms.
Also, those allergy cells release chemicals that cause our lungs to tighten up, can cause wheezing, can cause death because of trouble breathing, but really that drop in blood pressure. If we have a drop in blood pressure significant enough, that means that our brain is not being perfused, it's not getting the blood that it needs, and our heart is not getting the blood that it needs in those coronary arteries.
So Dr. Alice Hoyt of the Hoyt Institute of Food Allergy in Metairie has helped Jefferson Parish Public Schools get free epinephrine.
Epinephrine is the medication that stops an allergic reaction. Antihistamines don't do that. We really took advantage of a program called EpiPen for schools. And that's a program that not a lot of schools necessarily know about, where EpiPen itself will actually provide no-cost epinephrine to the schools. All the schools need is a prescriber.
Hoyt became the prescriber.
We collaborated with the CodeAna program, a nonprofit that I lead, and through my practice and with the Jefferson Parish Public Schools, I was so glad that they embraced being prepared for anaphylaxis.
The federal and state laws allow schools to stock EpiPens in schools, and they're primarily for students who have not been diagnosed with severe allergies.
Hoyt's office says 148 two-pack EpiPens were provided to JP Public Schools. Registered nurse Daphne Walker is Director of Health Services for the Jefferson Parish School District.
We have supplied every one of the Jefferson Parish schools with a set of 4 pens. Depending on the grade levels, our elementary schools will have 2 junior pens and 2 adult pens. Our middle schools and high schools have 4 adult pens.
She says the schools didn't previously stock epinephrine.
How big of a help is it to get these EpiPens for free?
If they're exposed to something that causes them to have a severe allergy, they could die within seconds. So having the stock epinephrine pens available can potentially save a person's life.
Anaphylaxis can worsen quickly, so if you're an adult or a child and you've been prescribed an EpiPen, it's always a good idea to have it with you.
And you want to promptly use that epinephrine as soon as you recognize that allergic reaction.
And Dr. Hoyt says through CodeAna, the nonprofit that she leads, they also train Jefferson Parish Public School nurses on how to use the EpiPens. Now, if the schools end up using the epinephrine, they can get more for free.